Only
Tonight
on
on
TCF.
Sidebar, Bailey falls asleep.
Tonight on Sidebar, Bailey hasn't had enough caffeine.
That is the best way to get people excited about this show right here.
Sidebar.
Bailey snoring, Michael doing his Michael thing.
Yeah. It's
Hey.
hype.
Love it. Hi, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bailey, you're awake.
Good. I just woke up. This is how I
Wow.
wake
Oh.
up
See,
every day. I just do
told
this.
you. I told you as soon as the show starts, you'll be fine. But you're like, oh, I'm not going to make it. Oh, I should have Ubered some Starbucks. You'll live. That's the good news. Michael's got his caffeine.
I sure
Ashley's
do.
just
Coke
naturally
Zero.
excited about life because she's not scheduled to go to sleep yet. She schedules her entire life.
Right.
Yes.
So once it hits, what is it, like 9:15 or something like that? Your time is when you'll just immediately fall asleep because it's
Turn into a
Well,
pumpkin.
I'm hoping it would work like that, but it doesn't always work like that. No.
Well,
Oh.
I'm sorry
Sometimes
to
it
do
takes
that.
until 10:15 to fall asleep.
Life is what happens when you make other plans.
Exactly.
Yep, definitely.
The wisdom of Michael. All right. So we should probably get to it. Body cams.
Yes.
We figured we'd talk about that tonight because, we talk about a lot of court, obviously, because we're a court channel, but the law enforcement of things obviously ties into things. And because they're the ones making the arrests and bringing the evidence to the prosecutors and all of that. And one of the biggest things they bring, obviously, now is body cameras. But, as we were tossing ideas around the other day, we brought it up, and the question immediately becomes, what about body cameras? Are they a slam dunk? Are they more problem than they're worth? Can they be trusted? Do you have situations where, they make the police look overly good or overly bad? There's a lot of angles and a lot of issues to talk about around body cams. So, I think that's what we should cover tonight. And I have no idea where this discussion is going to go because that's how it normally works with us. However, I think there's a lot of places that it can go. And I guess I'll lead off if you guys are interested, because
Yes.
one of the things that I've been thinking about in relation to this topic is the idea that things are not always as clear as a camera may make it out to be. Because all a camera really is a series of still photos. So there can be a question as to what's happening in between those stills. It's not just a continuous, every millisecond is giving you a photo. There are frames that are missing. And I looked earlier today to find this example, and I can't find it, unfortunately. But I remember watching a documentary several years ago where they got into this very idea with cameras and how they're used in court evidence. And one of the things that they were pointing out was the fact that you can be missing those frames, and what happens in between those frames can make a huge difference. And they gave a couple of examples of where this person was accused of walking out of a store with an item in their hands. Mm-hmm. But in reality, what had happened in one of the missing frames was that item was set down. But the way that the camera put it all together, it looked more like they put their hands in their pocket with the item. So, that's one angle that's always interested me, is it's not always as simple as what the camera might tell you. And I'd be curious what your thoughts are to start us off with on that idea and how you think that might affect court cases, and if that's something maybe that should be challenged more in court, is the validity of the film itself. Thoughts?
I think the validity of the film would be an issue, but I think it's better than having nothing at all. Those body cameras do act as a evidence collection tool, yes, in a way, but it also helps keep transparency and accountability on the officers, as well as people that are trying to false strike officers too, or try to be combative. Like, you're on camera type thing. So I think it has more positives than negatives, but I don't think you should take body cameras as as the full fact, like you said, Dan. I think you should you still have a report and everything, but it does help assist with reporting, and if the officer doesn't remember something, I guess it could assist in that. Of course, there's downsides to it too, which we'll probably talk about, but I think there's more positives than negatives here.
Well,
I agree with Ashley.
Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead,
just gonna
Dan.
say real quick, if I could, I think it's a witness, and maybe a more reliable witness than a human witness, but is it fully
Yeah.
reliable? I
Right.
guess that's a question. But
Yeah.
what were you gonna say, Bailey?
So I agree with Ashley that and Dan that this camera is a tool and it only provides one perspective, and that is the perspective of the law enforcement officer. And I did some digging on this about this whole body cam thing. It was just over a decade ago that there were these spat of shootings that were high profile in the news, and as a country, we were all asking ourselves questions, like the police report might say this, but maybe police officers should be wearing body cams so that there's this transparency, this accountability that Ashley was talking about. And so this became a discussion in our country, and now it's pretty much accepted that all police officers are wearing these things. I did have an opportunity to talk to a retired law enforcement officer from the Minneapolis area. He was a fellow veteran, and I just asked him, because policing is in the news, and hey, I can talk to this guy directly from the horse's mouth. And I'm like, and he used to be a field training officer and a supervisor. He was like up there for like 18 years, and he had to get out as disabled. And a really good guy. And I just asked him some simple questions. I was like, what scares police officers? What goes on with this? Like, why is everybody kind of hating on you? Like, and I was able to ask him all these very direct questions. And I asked him about these cameras. And he said, if you want these things, well, get ready, guys. Everybody's getting tickets because we're going to have to follow the rules. Basically, that was his whole mantra. And I was like, interesting. Like, your argument is that once we're holding you guys accountable, that I'm, as a citizen, I'm going to get more tickets, and you guys are going to actually do your job and do it right? That's your argument? And that was his argument. But I didn't argue with him because he's a good guy. He's a great guy. He's a great friend. But that was his approach back then. But now I think we have a very different perspective on this now. I think now we're just kind of expecting that anytime you interact with law enforcement out there, there's going to be a perspective, and that perspective is going to be the law enforcement's on his chest.
And if anything, it protects the officers, I think, Bailey. It's just another way they're protected. Because I know officers used to be falsely accused of things that people would say, and that it never happened. But it's like he said, she said. Do you have no proof that it didn't happen or not? So I think these cameras really give security to these officers in some way.
That's right.
That's fair. I hadn't thought about the security angle. Michael, you want to chime in?
I think body cams overall are a net positive, but as Bailey and Ashley and you have alluded to, Dan, it's not a slam dunk. I think one thing that we should talk about is not only the frames, the missing frames, but what happened before the officer showed up or before the body cam was turned on. Context matters, right? Sometimes the body cam tells a great story, but it doesn't always tell the whole story. And sometimes there could be missing audio or there could be a glitch in the audio, or because, an officer rubs up against the cameras, you might miss something that's said. And how many times have we been watching, and Judge Fleischer was well known for this, kind of reviewing these cams, and we've seen other courtrooms where these have been reviewed. And sometimes an officer says, the suspect said this, and then you don't hear that on the body cam. Well,
Right.
if we're going to take the body cam as part of the evidence, well, then if that doesn't show up on the body cam, the officer says it does, and the defendant says it doesn't, well, then I guess you have to say it doesn't. Now, again, I say it's net positive because before body cams, we all know there was a lot of shenanigans going on in law enforcement, right? And I think this holds law enforcement more accountable, but also I think it definitely it will help them. It is also their best defense, because if somebody says, "Hey, this officer beat the crap out of me," and how many times we've even seen that when they know there's a body cam and the suspect says, "Hey, they hit me, or they beat me, or I couldn't breathe," and it turns out that was either exaggerated or complete crap. And so, again, it's a net positive, but there's a lot of times where it's not the be all end all. It's not the panacea to truth telling. But if you have more officers on scene and more angles of cameras, I mean, obviously the more that you have, the better also. So, and dash cams and all that other stuff too. So, and then of course, citizens, with the proliferation of cell phones in the last 25 years with cameras and everything, we've obviously seen citizen cameras play a big role too. So, again, a net positive, not perfect, but overall, I'd call it a win.
So something just occurred to me for a case that we saw a couple of weeks ago, if you'll recall, in Judge Mogan's court. You had that situation where there were two police officers and they came into a house on a domestic, and the guy had a knife and they shot that guy. Do you recall that case?
A
Yes.
little bit, yes.
Yes.
One of the things that Judge Mogan said was both of those officers had body cameras, but she even acknowledged that both of those cameras told a different story.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Wow.
Where there was, with the one officer, it was clear that the shooting was justified. And with
Right.
the other officer, it looked more like a normal interaction.
I do
So-
remember this more. Yeah.
So I guess that brings up the question then, is just one angle of something enough? Should it be challenged more in court? Should there be as much weight put on a body camera as you see? Because, your perception is going to be, at least can be, in part colored by the aspect that camera takes. I was thinking
But it's
about this,
what-
like, that's a
it's
very
what
good
the
point
officer
that
is-
Logan brought up right there.
Yeah, it's what the officer is viewing, though. So I don't have a problem with that. But you do bring up a good point with the angle and everything that the officer might be standing in or something like that. Yeah, it would. I would challenge it, but it's just giving the angle that the officer is seeing things. So
Yeah.
Well, then would it be better regarded as a record of the officer's perception of an
Yes.
event rather than a full record of the event, which I think is more often how it's regarded in court. It's regarded as more of a full record of the event.
Well,
as
and
opposed
even
to the officer's point of view. You know what I
even
mean?
a perception is true, but not completely true, because again, because of context, sometimes because situations in any kind of police interaction can unfold in a heartbeat. You can't. One thing a body camera can't tell you is what an officer is thinking, what the people that the officer is interacting with are thinking, and it can't always tell you how someone is supposed to react or is going to react in a split second. And it gives you the benefit of hindsight, which is both good and bad, because you can look back and question every single thing an officer did or every single thing a suspect, defendant, whatever did. And, we can always say, that guy really screwed up, or that officer did the wrong thing here. But you have to put it in the context of the officer is on a scene on a call for, let's just say, I don't know, suspected robbery, right, or armed robbery, and you don't know. You know, there's a lot of things that the body cam just can't tell you in that moment, and I think that's something that obviously has to be argued in court, and it's up to a jury to figure out.
Yeah, unless they have a 360 camera that goes.
But even then, you'd need a like almost like a mind machine. You need some sort of something that shows the thought patterns of everybody involved. It's I don't think I don't think we're ever going to get to hopefully we never get to like a Minority Report kind of situation or whatever. But that's what I was thinking about with perspective. Yes, it gives you a perspective, but not the complete perspective.
That's right. It gives you one extra element of evidence that the state can use or the defense can use in a trial or in front of a judge, in front of a jury, and a jury decides whether or not that one piece of evidence, that one perspective, that one piece of context, that one angle of the incident, is it a full picture? Does it answer the question? Does it support the charges?
Well, Bailey, that opens up another rabbit hole of questions, and that is, do these body cams, do the juries weigh them too heavily? Are they weighed too heavily by juries or judges?
I have kind of an anecdote that's not quite police camera heavy, but it has to do with cameras in a different trial. So this kid killed his mother. I know he did it. I know the jury knows he did it, but they acquitted him. Why? Because mom had all those little Ring cameras in her house. Mm-hmm. The kid was at grandma's house, and mom was upset about that. The kid and mom was on the phone and sounding hysterical and manic and crazy, goes over to grandma's house to go get her child, and the witnesses that saw mom go in, all they saw was he just kind of cordially, took her shoulder, and then they came in the house. 5 minutes later, a 911 call is made. She's dead with a knife in her neck. Acquitted. That's an example of, if she didn't have those cameras, that video evidence, the jury never would have even considered or believed that, oh yeah, mom was just crazy and went over there. And no, but because there was this video evidence, the jury actually bought it that actually the victim, the true victim, was the son. And he defended himself against a crazy mother. When we all know, this kid was just a brat. And, but that's an example of video evidence actually kind of being not being helpful in justice. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
The flip side.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, just if they are a little bit overused in evidence, because there's I think people trust their eyes probably more than they should. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
If I see something, it must be true. But no, that's not always the case.
The brain tricks your eyes. I mean, your brain will do whatever it wants to do. So I don't always trust what I see, especially if it's a really stressful moment. It's not always
Right.
correct.
It's another ingredient. That's all I'm saying. It's another ingredient in the soup, in the kitchen. That's all it is. It's just one more element that we have to consider. Like, for instance, when I watched that Rittenhauser thing with the shooting, he was there and he had to defend himself with an AR-15 in the city, and lots of people were saying, well, he was going there to shoot people and protect property, but really, hey, it also looks like he's defending himself from people who are trying to stop him from just walking down the street legally with a weapon. Yeah, it's context, like Mike was saying. Context really matters. So that's the job of a jury.
And also on the flip side, with in regards to cameras, there's also the cost to these cameras too. And that was one negative I listed in regards to the cameras, because I know we talk about government funding. Well,
Yeah.
we hear about it all the time.
For like
Government
judges,
funding is.
everything, all of it. It's
Hmm.
yeah, they're underfunded. Yep.
Right, exactly. And how much these cameras actually cost, I'm not quite
They're
sure,
very
but I'm sure
expensive.
they're very expensive.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that aspect too. That are they doing enough that it will the it the cost it makes up for the cost? And I think so. I think it has I think it goes over the benefit too. I mean, it's worth it to get the cameras despite the cost too. But
Yeah.
that's just I know that would be an argument for someone against the cameras though. So
One
So
of the biggest arguments from law enforcement was the issue of privacy. Like
that
they
too.
are on the job, busting their
Mhm.
butt out there, doing a job that most people just cannot handle or would never be able to make it 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And, but every time they respond, they have to hit this button. And the issue, if they have an issue with privacy, um, is there's a 30-second delay on the audio, so they can't hear anything. All you see is
Mhm.
video, and then the interaction can happen after that. So I think we've kind of approached this very tactfully over the years, very carefully, to protect both law enforcement and their privacy, and
Mhm.
the citizen, and the transparency about these sorts of things, and knowing that just because it's on a police body camera, we don't just take it as the word of God that this is exactly how it went down. Um, but it's another ingredient in the kitchen.
so
Right. I don't know. Do they even have to push a button for it to turn on? Or
yes,
is it they
Yes.
do? Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know how these things work. But yeah, privacy concern. I I see it, but I think still the pros outweigh the cons in that regard too.
Yeah.
But technology limitations, like Dan was saying, I think that's the major thing. But if you don't take it as the word of God or anything, and just use it as a piece, like Bailey was saying, a piece of the soup or a ingredient in the soup, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Dan? Sorry.
Well, just a couple things. Number one, you said if, as long as you don't take it the word of God. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people, most people,
Yeah.
will, because
Yeah.
that's just kind of how we work. But you asked about how much they cost. Somebody did, so I looked it up real quick.
Yeah.
This is a 10-year-old PR release from Axon, so it
Okay.
can only have gone up from here. But at that time, they were $399 for the actual camera, and then $80 per month to operate it.
That's expensive for any municipality.
That's really expensive.
And
And I
and
can't
they
imagine how
counted
much
it,
it is now.
and they actually commented, agencies can now capture great HD video without worrying about the cost. Yeah, I think
In
you're worrying about the
Netflix
cost.
quality. Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
But yeah, that was
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Expensive.
It was the one thing I could find that was from Axon that had actual pricing. Of
That's
it.
So
expensive.
Yeah, you can only
yeah,
imagine
for
what it is
peace of
now. It's
mind.
probably double.
Mm.
But yeah, just there's a monthly fee to keep it running too, because everything's cloud stored. Now I will
Right.
say they've got other things in the background too, like civilians can share their video through Axon and things like that. So
Oh.
it's kind of more of an evidence gathering, but still, it's a significant cost for a tool that I would maintain is probably relied on just a little bit too much. But
Huh. So you're telling me there's a private company that is actually profiting off of evidence
Yeah.
collection. Is that what you just described to me?
well, basically anything in our
Run it.
society, Bailey, including societies that think they've figured it out, like socialist or communist ones that aren't supposed to have a profit motive, just follow the money. It
I mean, I'm
always-
not
It
surprised
always
people
goes back
make
to the money.
Right.
I'm not surprised people make money in this country. That doesn't offend me, but that they're actually profiting off of like, yeah, we'll hold on to that video camera footage in the cloud for you. That kind of worries me. That
Oh no, huge industry.
mm.
Everything.
Well,
is a huge
just
industry.
like
Yeah.
just like tasers and all of that. I mean, that's and they've. I know this is a side tangent, but they've long talked about how the tasers are totally safe and you can use them as much as you want and nobody, it doesn't hurt anybody. It's non-lethal and yada 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 and everything's great with tasers. But of course, that's the taser company that is saying that, and so of course, there's always a profit-driven motive to everything, But again, all of this having been said, I'm still going to sit here and say body cams overall are a positive because we have to remember what kind of things went on prior to
Right.
body cameras. I mean, but for somebody just by chance being there to record, we would never really know how it is that Rodney King got the crap beat out of him.
Right.
He could say, "Oh, these cops did it," and the cops would be like, "Nah, man, we didn't do that. Who are you gonna believe?"
That took a camcorder
He said,
with
she said.
film to record
Right.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, but for and if you think that kind of stuff didn't happen all the time prior to, the 2000s or the 2010s,
sadly
you're
mistaken.
kidding yourself. I mean, that's, tuning a guy up. I mean, how long did we always used to hear about that on the cop shows, and they didn't just make that up out of nothing. So we know that kind of stuff went on. And look, I know there's some people that harken back to those days and say, hey, maybe some guys could use that. Maybe a guy that roughed up his wife. Maybe we take him before we bring him down to the station. Maybe we tune him up in the car a little bit before, that way he learns his lesson.
Well, the cameras do have an off button.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is there are times
Not foolproof.
where
Foolproof.
cops turn off the body cams and they'll say, "Oh, I did it because we were discussing private information or whatever," and there are times where they'll get called out for it, and there are times that they're not, and so it's still, again, it's not the be all end all. It doesn't solve all the problems. I think it solves more than it doesn't, but. Yeah, there's still a lot of, within departments, there's a lot of different policies, or there's no exact stated policy as to how they can operate their body cams. And that's another problem. And that's probably a whole show in and of itself.
I think if they're on active duty somewhere out and about, I think they should be required to turn it on personally. But
Well,
even if
they're
it's private or not.
They're supposed to turn it on at the start of every interaction. They can't run
Right.
it constantly because they won't have the battery power. But
Right.
or the
Right, I
recording
know.
sounds.
And yeah,
Yeah.
there's that.
So as we transition closer to the second half of the hour, perhaps this is a good time to pivot this in another direction and take a look at the body camera footage from the effect that it has on society and on jury pools. Because all you need to do is go to YouTube, put in body, and the first thing that'll come up after it is cam, and look at all of the videos that have been uploaded with all the interactions and how much, and it's only going to be the stuff that's crazy that gets uploaded, nobody's going to upload a video that's fairly, tame in its
Pedestrian.
interaction.
Yeah.
I do that here, and those videos don't do as well with
Right.
the normal court action, but I feel like I have to present those because it's, you have to see something from all sides. That's kind of my approach. But the majority of these body cam channels, they're not going to
Yeah,
do
the
that. They're
videos
gonna-
of good interactions between police and citizens don't actually go viral. It's usually something much, much different.
They're
No.
going to upload the most crazy. So the question is, is that good for us? And then as well, that this footage gets out because it gets FOIA'd and people will pay the money to put it up on their on their pages and whatnot, and then the next thing you're trying to get a jury, and how tainted is that jury from what they've already seen. So I guess that's maybe where we should look at in the second half of the hour, is the other side of this. Is this such a great thing that all of this stuff's getting recorded and put out there? And there's famous cases too. If we look at the whole George Floyd incident and all of the camera angles and everything that we had on that, but did that even tell a complete story? And I'm not saying I don't want to start a George Floyd debate. That's not my point. But it's more a point of, you saw what everybody wanted to present, and those were the most shocking moments, and that's what we see all the time. So is it a good thing?
I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of the half full kind of guy today. I actually believe, based on the judges I've watched a lot of interviews with judges from the Supreme Court level all the way down, and gotten their perspective on juries, and they have a lot of faith in them, and they really do believe in them, and they really believe that they get it right. Not all the time, but they get it right. And I think I might have shared on a different sidebar, or maybe it was off the record, but even one jury realized that this dude was totally guilty, but realized it was kind of a political attack from this thing, and actually found him not guilty because they knew this was political BS. And so, and judges have equally found where, judge, I'm sorry, I can't find him guilty because the state just didn't do a good enough job, but we all believe he's guilty. And because you know how the judge always says, all right, after the end of the trial, they'll be like, hey, I'll come back and I'll talk with you guys. The judges are allowed to go and talk with the jurist. And from every interaction I've listened to with judges, whom I respect, they've all said the same thing. They actually trust the jury system. They really do. It's a beautiful system. Is it perfect? Damn no, it's not.
Well, nothing is.
Yeah.
I have an issue with things getting released before they pan out. That's just me. I don't know. I think it should be made public, but only after the fact. That's just my take on it. So if it's being released like before the trial, or before things actually happen, I don't know about that.
And that's the other thing. I mean, these days, that was the other note
And
I wrote
privacy.
down. There is no expectation of privacy when you guys step outside your front door.
Right.
None. There's zero. Like, if you walk up in front of my house, this house right here, there's 3 cameras that are going to capture you before you even get into this freaking house. So if I walk, or you guys walk around your block, I guarantee you're probably going to pass at least 15 different cameras, and one of them might be
Ring
actually a
cameras,
government camera. Here in Arizona, there's cameras at every single intersection. On the highways, there's cameras. So there is zero presumption of privacy when you step outside that door. Zero. So even, let's say there were no body cams per se, everybody has this in their hand. If there was a crime, or there's a door camera that's going to see something that happens. So it's prolific out there with the camera footage. So at this point, the body camera thing doesn't really bother me. The only thing that bothers me with these damn body cameras is that they fucking fall off all the damn fucking time. What the fuck? Are they held on with bubble gum and hope? Like, the first thing that happens if there's a struggle is their equipment, and I call it their equipment, falls off, and it, and hopefully it faces upright, and then you can still hear the interaction. It drives me nuts. Do their guns fall off? No. Do their handcuffs fall off? No. Does their other equipment fall off of their body? No. But for some reason, their body camera is the least important piece of equipment that they have on them, and it always fucking falls off. To me, That's not a mistake. If you're a law enforcement officer, you are trained to protect your equipment. You are trained to keep your handcuffs can become weapons. You have to get somebody handcuffed immediately, very quickly, because they can use that against you. Oh, but the body cam, that thing could just fall off at any. By the way, did I make it past the 10-minute mark to start swearing? So this is where I get a little upset about the whole body camera thing. It's like, if you're going to use it, use it. Don't pull this bullshit where it's like, oh, I get in a little tussle and then it instantly falls off because I held it together with chewing gum.
And Bailey is very passionate about officers' equipment, and
The equipment falling
we need
off.
more than just Velcro, apparently, and bubble gum and hope.
Good morning, Bo. I hope you're having a wonderful morning and your coffee's tasting awesome.
Lindsay, I've been here 1 minute and I've heard 5 F-bombs. Nice work, Bailey.
Yeah.
That's
He
what
was
I'm here
fine
for.
till you showed up, Lindsay. Gonna blame
He
it
actually
on
was
Good.
behaving himself.
Yeah,
he
and
was
then-
very
Now
well
he's
behaved.
showing off.
But as soon as Freya showed up here as well,
I'm gonna
there's a
blame
lady
Freya.
present.
I'm gonna blame Freya on this one.
Ashley
Yeah.
doesn't count for that, Michael?
Well, Ashley's part of our panel. I mean, she's used to it.
I'm off limits.
Yeah, Ashley gets it all the time in our chat too from
Very
Bailey. You
true.
know, it's
Yes.
but
Colorfuls, language. Yes.
yeah, there's it's one of those things. So I'll say this though, going back to what you were talking about, not the equipment, but the public nature of the body cam, and I go back to this case a lot because it's so in the news right now, and it brings up kind of a controversial issue about this, and that is the Brian Kohberger case, right? So it's been resolved, all right? But now the issue is, do we release all the body cam footage? Should all that be public? And when I say all of it, we're talking about when the officers showed up, and you've got 4 kids, and I'll call them kids. I mean, they're adults technically, but I mean 4 college kids
Right.
that were killed, and brutally at that. Okay, and a lot of people believe that body cam footage should never be released.
I didn't think of it
And-
that way.
And even though the case is over, and I mean, I guess you could argue, Brian Kohberger may try to appeal or whatever, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, the case is over. It's been resolved. There's a verdict. Well, there was a plea, and that's it. I mean, so should that camera footage be? Now, I can see both sides. This is one of those where very rarely is it that I don't have a hard line opinion on something, but I can definitely see both sides. One side is for transparency purposes. Yes, because we, the taxpayers, pay for the police, and we should always have, no matter what the circumstance, there should always be transparency. We should always be able to see what's going on in law enforcement. Did they, for nothing else, did they do right? Did they do wrong? For all these good, yeah, but I can also see the other side, and that is, hey, these are 4 people that were brutally murdered. We don't want to see that. We don't need to see that. Why do we need to see that? What kind of person wants to see that? And then there's probably people that are going to profiteer off of that. They're going to post it on,
I see what you're
bloody
saying.
Yeah,
body cam,
yeah, I know,
on
Bailey.
YouTube or
Because
whatever.
I was
so-
actually going to argue against you, but oh no.
If you want a very recent example, unfortunately, we need to only look at the assassination of last week.
Oh,
Right.
And that video that got out there, and there are people profiting off it right and left. There are people celebrating it. There are people like myself that wish they could unsee it, but I can't.
And me too. I wish I had not seen it.
I
And
know,
that's
but
why-
it was right there.
That's why
And-
I when I heard the news from you,
Yeah.
Dan, that's why I intentionally didn't watch anything, because
And
I was
I,
like,
I told
I
you
was like-
guys in the
I was
chat,
like, fuck him.
I said, don't-
he wants everyone to see this fucking shit.
Don't-
Fuck
don't
him.
look at it.
I'm not doing it.
Well.
I'm not doing it. And I was hearing from everybody hitting me up on the phone, and I just, that was a shitty fucking week. I don't even want to go back. I don't even want to go there.
But I'm just
That-
No,
saying,
and I'm not trying to. I'm just more
Right.
using it as a recent example because,
Right.
quite honestly, this maps out what happens if you have graphic information that is allowed to fester out there
and it
proliferate
does have an
itself.
impact. You're right. It
And
has an impact.
I think any graphic information, if it's like this or some other content, it
has
will
an
get
impact.
profited off of, right?
And it
But-
influences people. It influences
It
people's
does.
ideas.
It absolutely
taints
does.
Juries. Yes, Dan is right. This taints like this kind of information out there without context, just because you have a camera, and you see an image or a video. People's minds, they think so quickly these days. We live in an attention economy these days. People don't think. And so when they see something
It's a
for an
very good
instant,
term, Bailey.
they instantly have an opinion about how they perceive what just occurred. It's a human thing. And now when we live in this attention economy where it's like, I really only have 15 minutes, or if I'm lucky, 2 minutes, and I can watch a 2-minute short, people want to just get the information so quickly and then make up their minds, because human beings love to
Right.
be sure of themselves. I want to feel sure of myself, that I am right, that I understand everything. I feel secure. I feel safe. And if I see something that is incredibly violent, like anything, I want to, I'm going to react to that.
right.
And so, yeah. That's
But the counter
I
to
understand
that-
where you guys are coming from. Yeah.
The counter to that, though, talking out of both sides of my mouth here, the counter to that is even if it's brutal, if that body camera footage could exonerate somebody, it absolutely should be there. It should be able, even after the fact, even after a case is over, if you find some piece of evidence someplace, even if it sucks, even if it's brutal, but if there's something in there that somebody could use and say, hey, this actually exonerates my client, this exonerates person, I mean, then, that could be very useful, very helpful,
Right.
or even before, a verdict, and now should it be made public? Well, again, this is such a touchy area.
How else would
I don't think there's I maybe I'm wrong here, but I just don't think there's a universal answer. I think there's case by case, and I think there are times where, yes, we should be able to see it and we should be able to have transparency, but I think there's got to be a little bit of a limit, especially again with Brian Koberger, because the families, they're saying no, please don't.
it kind of reminds me a little bit about, like I was saying, different graphical content. I mean, like, how we have the 18 or older, like porn stuff, things like that. That would be kind of falling in the same lines almost. And that's where my mind is. Just how we secure children, like if they go to Google and they find like things are blurred out and things like that.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
probably fall within the same guideline as that.
Well, we
in a
do have,
way.
a lot of it is redacted. I mean, but even
Yeah.
some people are arguing even the redacted stuff they don't want to put out there into the public.
Right.
And I get it. And again, I guess I'm a case by case person on this.
Yeah.
I don't have I don't have an answer. We always say here on Sidebar, as always, nothing, we didn't solve anything, but this is one of those where I can't even give a definitive opinion, yes or no. And that kind of sucks because, people want to hear, just say it, Mike, just yes or no. But
Give me the answer. I'm a human.
yeah,
I want to
but
know
this-
the answer.
Right,
Give me the
but this does not, that's why this is a great topic, is
Right.
because there just isn't an answer. It's a great topic, but it's a frustrating topic from a societal point of view because
Right.
there isn't one global answer.
I have one. It's called the First Amendment. Just because you may not like a certain image or depiction or audio or anything like that, I'm sorry. You can FOIA a document or a video, a depiction, and it could be
The f-
used for nefarious purposes.
Now, the
we
First
have-
Amendment has limits, though, Bailey.
It certainly does, to protect people. So,
Right.
for
Right.
instance,
So-
people under the age of 18 should not be watching pornography that is absolutely available out there. Now, you
Right.
may not like
See-
pornography. It may not be depictions that you like, but it's protected under free speech. And yeah, there might be these absolutely ugly images that are going to be captured. Police officers have to go through hell and they see the
Yeah.
worst
Right.
of the worst of the worst. And I don't necessarily want to see that stuff. I don't. That's not for me.
Right.
I don't either.
But
It's macabre.
usually-
I'm not,
Typically what I see is the media people, they will blur certain things.
Right.
personally-
or see
I
as
pers-
graphically disturbing or something
Right.
like
Personally, I'm kind of like, particularly when it comes to like school shootings, because I'm getting desensitized to them. When I see them on the news, I hate to say this, guys, but I just keep scrolling past because nothing's going to get done about this. So I particularly don't. I think they should stop blurring those particular videos. I think the American people ought to see what happens to a human's body when they're shot with an AR-15.
Well, we
It's
just
not
saw that.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
just
we
saw that,
actually
Bailey,
just
and
saw
tell me
that.
what's changed.
Okay, but that was because
I think, okay, I know what you're saying, though, Bailey. You're saying
Yeah.
school children. I mean, I get the difference, but
right.
But we've seen the result.
Yeah, and I
for sure.
I didn't even think about that, Dan. I'm sorry. And
No, you're
I
fine. I'm
didn't-
just saying we've been there, and I don't think that it's going to matter to anybody.
I mean, the people that are going to be outraged about it are going to be outraged about it, and the people that are numb to it. I mean, okay, you might draw in a few more people. You might be able to get more outrage about it, I guess, to a small extent, but for the most part, it's not going to change opinions. People
Dan,
that are
I'm-
like, "Hey, I don't care about that," or well, we can't do anything. They're going to say that, or people that say we should do so. We should ban all guns and get everybody.
No.
You're not. It's not going to sway anything. It's just going to show a lot of dead kids, and I don't know if that's necessarily a benefit to society.
To me, I'm not even talking about trying to get any outrage. Fuck that. I'm not trying to get outrage, Mike. I'm trying to offer transparency.
I
If
get
we're
it.
gonna have- if
I
we're
get
gonna
it.
have- If we're going to have guns in this country, and we're going to live in this kind of society, and we're going to have body cams, and again, I'm not trying to go out and seek this kind of violent kind of stuff. That's not my cup of tea. But I think we ought to have a little bit of transparency out there. I think we ought to see what the fuck police officers have to deal with every damn day out there.
Okay.
They see some ugly shit. Now,
do you
there's
need to
exceptions.
see a dead kid though to know that what officers go through? Do you really need to see that?
No, absolutely not. And so who's going to censor that, Mike?
Well, again, I don't know. I'm not saying I have the answer here, Bailey. This is one of
Right.
those times where Bailey isn't necessarily wrong for once.
Yeah, I'm just saying, who's going to be the arbiter of?
But you're not
the First
necessarily
Amendment?
right either, because there's no right or wrong answer here. I know
Right.
some people are probably screaming at you guys
don't
are just
even wanna-
stupid because, but
I don't even
I'm
wanna
just
look.
saying,
there isn't a perfect answer to this.
Right.
That's why we're discussing
Yeah.
it.
Well, we all trust
Right.
Ashley. Let's just put her in charge of it.
Okay, there we
Ashley
go.
can be the body cam person. It's
Yep.
solved.
Alright,
It's done.
Ashley's in charge.
But
Reviews
I
listen,
wash my hands of
500,000
it.
a day.
if we can move away from the macabre here a little bit, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one other thought that I think we have time to address, because we're talking about the First Amendment and freedom of speech and all of this kind of things. I get it. Look, I'm pro-Constitution. I'm pro-1A, pro-2A, and I don't hide those things. However, just because something can be done doesn't necessarily mean that it should be done. And the other topic that's kind of, or piece of this topic that's kind of in my mind is it in our best interest to have all of this body cam footage out in the public all the time as we're trying to build ourselves, hopefully, a better behaved society? Because what's happening is we're capturing all of these people at their worst possible moment
Right.
and putting it out on YouTube for all of the world to see. Now, you could argue that same thing here with this channel, and that I do the same
Desensitizing
thing.
it.
Although I will say that in the court, it's now controlled. It's, the heat of the moment has died down, and we're dealing with the legal ramifications of it, rather than what's happening on the side of the road or at somebody's house or whatever at that very moment. So how much of the Karen meme, for example, has come about because of so many white women being captured on body cameras behaving stupidly, and now all of a sudden there's a name for that sort of thing. How many people of color are further affected by the perception of their race because their bad behavior in that moment is caught on camera for all the world to see.
Yeah.
Does this help us? Does it make any
mean,
sense for all of this stuff to just be out there for people to
Not all of it.
consume, with reckless abandon? And you know what? It's easy enough to do because you click on one of those damn things, and that's all YouTube's going to give you for the next 6 months.
I have so much to say. I have so
And
much to say on this.
Dan, I'll take Bailey's role of the contrarian a little bit. I mean, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, but how you bring up people of color, but that are portrayed in a worse light. But how about the people of color that are definitely helped by body cams or by just having cameras being such a ubiquitous part of the culture? Right. I mean, certainly there has been a benefit there too. What's
the algorithm going to show you though, Mike?
Well, of course, I get that. This is where I'm just. It's not even that I'm playing devil's advocate. It's just that I can see. This is one of those topics. I see all sides, and I just cannot. I'm sitting here trying to find an answer in real time, and there isn't one. And this is one of those. You guys know me. I usually have a very hard line, or at least a pretty firm opinion. I mean, I'm willing to keep an open mind, but this is one where there just isn't a way to codify this to just say one way or the other.
Yeah, the more we try to fix things, the more we break things is the bottom line. Let's fix everything by putting a body camera on somebody, and now we have other problems.
Right.
Yeah, how about this as a compromise with everybody? We all agree. We can stipulate to this fact. We all know what that means, right? Stipulate. We can all stipulate to this fact that when you walk outside, you have a presumption of no privacy, correct?
I don't think you have a presumption of privacy inside your house anymore. I've been coughing all day long. I'm going to get cough syrup and cough drop commercials when I sit down to watch TV tonight.
And then there's Alexa.
Every device in this house knows that I've got a low-grade chest infection thing going on.
Absent an algorithm, do we understand when we step outside and walk out there on our shoes and we go for a walk, we lose our presumption of privacy?
Yes, we'll stipulate to that.
Yes.
We could stipulate to that. Okay. All right. And then the other thing is, and I already forgot it because you had to do the cough drop thing.
Lost the really train of thought.
Oh my God.
Oh no, we could stipulate to no privacy. Oh, how about this? I don't want to see the body camera footage of evidence that has been collected by the state from Axiom and all that. Let's say they're walking into someone's home, there's a crime scene. I don't necessarily need to see that, but I would like to be able to FOIA a police officer having an interaction with somebody who's outside and maybe they got pulled over for DWI or whatever. But I don't necessarily need to have access to that. So maybe that would be a good, safe compromise with everybody that would protect the First Amendment. But the state and maybe, I don't know who the agency who would have the right to do this and be like, we are going to, if we do release this, we are going to release it redacted, meaning we are going to blur the ugly parts. The only part that will never get blurred is for a jury. When they are witnessing this in a trial, they get the complete unredacted stuff, but the public will release a blurred copy of that. So I think that's a very fair approach to this. When you step outside, everybody knows you do not have a right to privacy. And when you go out there and you engage with law enforcement, you're going to be on camera. Get
I've
used
got
to
it.
it.
I've
But
got a better answer. Go ahead,
for
though,
it, Dan.
Ashley.
no. But just like last week, like civilians accidentally catch things, they upload things, they do things like that. So that doesn't help with that problem. But yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I say
I can't wait.
this
buckling
is
up.
brilliant. You're gonna love it.
All right.
I say we go full on Oprah with this thing. And you get a body cam, and you get a body cam.
What?
And you get a
I
body
figured
cam.
Dan was going to
When
go
you're
here.
born,
I
you
figured.
get a social security number and a body cam, and we're all wearing them.
Oh,
And
taxpayer.
then everybody's filmed at all times. You've
And then
got
we
a
share
complete
it.
record from both sides. It's all uploaded to the internet, and we'll just completely lose our privacy and just be done. Let's do that. Let's make that happen.
No.
No,
Oh, man.
No,
Although-
that'd be awful.
Although I do agree with Lindsay that the white women, the Karens, it's okay to call them out.
Yes.
They've
Yeah,
gotten
they
away
came
with
away
enough.
with too much, Lindsay.
Lindsay's right about that.
Yes.
oh, good
They do get
heavens.
away. We meet them every day out there, so I get it.
You know what's interesting? I just as brief aside, I don't think I've only encountered like a Karen in the wild like a couple of times.
Wild.
Yeah.
I
A
think
wild Karen
I've
appears.
encountered a dozen Karens in the wild.
Well, with your line of work that you're going into, Ashley, you're probably going to encounter a lot of them, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and
Um,
also I think it depends on the area too, for some reason.
It's in the air. It's in the water. Watch
Because
out.
people in stores, I'm sorry, but people in stores are outrageous a lot of times. Yeah. That's where I mostly see it.
A lot of
Not a lot of
times,
patience
people
out
are
there.
insane out there.
People
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
patience.
Nope.
Yeah.
But we need to find it.
They want to know.
That's why.
But-
That's why I lock myself at home. That's why I stay home. I don't have patience. So
I try
you don't-
to.
You guys in the public do not need to worry about me. None of you need to worry about Bailey Davis out there.
Just Bailey's going to do his thing.
Bailey's going to shut himself in so that he doesn't get on any body cams.
I don't pick
Don't
up
have to
any
worry about it.
cases. None of that. None of it.
Yeah.
I don't drive.
Wow.
That's all right.
You're really
the
safe,
The
Bailey.
government's building a case off of Bailey just based on Sidebar here, so it'll all be
Yeah.
And the government's listening right now, and I'm gonna be taken in. I'm gonna be stuck. Like
I
Chuck
sure
right after
hope
this
the
episode.
government has better things to do than listen to me because, man, you're going to fall asleep. How boring.
I'm pretty
No, you're
boring
not.
at myself. I think I have that in common. Yes.
All right, stop calling yourselves boring. I'm trying to grow this channel here. And you guys get on my channel and you go, yeah, we're boring. We just suck. I don't know.
Well,
Well, I
well,
go
make
out on
people
the
tune
whim
out.
sometimes.
Don't make me cancel
You're
this
right.
show.
You're right, Dan. I can't tell you how many times I go out and
Yeah.
what do people do? Oh, bar fights. I've been in many, and you can see me tomorrow night in a bar fight. I'm sure in a bar near you.
All right.
I thought you were gonna
Look
say
forward
something
to that.
completely different.
Oh,
I thought you were gonna prop yourself up. Anyway.
light
Let's
went out.
end with this. Lindsay just says, I'm watching you boring folks, so what does that make me?
That makes you fucking cool, Lindsay.
It makes
Yeah.
you a
That makes you.
certifiable law junkie, Lindsay.
Yes, you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it makes you. All right, per our usual arrangement, we solved nothing.
No.
Thank heavens.
We really didn't.
I'd hate it if we actually solved something here. Actually, if we
Yeah.
do solve something, we might just have to retire the show at that point.
Yes.
It would be
Exactly.
such a break.
That's
It-
cool.
or-
how to do.
Or we might just disappear if we solved
would,
stuff.
It would break the matrix. It would just break the matrix. I don't know.
We don't
Yeah.
want that.
We don't want to do that.
Mom, I'm the mother of all this, the guy who started all this. What does that make me?
Last one, Joan.
You created a monster.
It makes you culpable, is what it makes you.
Yeah. Guilt by association.
Oh, that was a
Alright.
great one.
I
Man,
love that.
that's gonna send us out. That's awesome. Oh,
There
my
you
goodness.
go. I normally go
I
around
can't
the
beat
table,
that.
but let's leave it with that. Mom's culpable, and there you go. All
I'm a
right.
TCF.
So this has been fun, especially after having been gone for a week. It's nice
Yes.
to be able to
Yes.
do this again. with you
Refreshed.
guys.
Very much.
I think it was good though to take that week off. I think I
was.
think the show will be better than it was going forward. So be good.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone, for tuning in. It's been
Yep.
so fun to be back and swimming in the deep end with you guys, and again, solving nothing. It's really cool. I love this. I love this. So
I love it
thank
too.
you. Thank you to everyone supporting us, Bo, all the way in Australia, Lindsay, everybody. I'm not going to name names, but yeah, thank you so much. And my camera's going out.
All right.
What?
And we're done. All right, let's be back Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for this show. We'll be back tomorrow live on this channel, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, half an hour early for channel members. Take care. God bless.
Take
See ya.
care.
Take care, everyone.